Hello. Today we are going to begin working on a couple of pieces of poetry. So this video is going to be your introduction to poetry. First thing I want you to do is open your digital notebook, go to the reading tab, the next blank page, and title the page Poetry Notes. Pause the video so that you can do that. All right, now, sorry, my nose itches. I'm going to take you through what I'll refer to as a TP-CAST poem analysis method. TP-CAST stands for title, paraphrase, connotation, diction, attitude, tone, shift, title revised, and theme. So I'm going to go through these with you step by step. Title. Before you even think about reading a piece of poetry or trying to analyze it, you need to think about what might the poem be about based on the title. Don't even read it yet. Just look at the title. What do you think the title means? What do you think the poem's going to be about? A lot of times authors conceal meaning. They hide it in the title, or somehow the title gives clues. So when you start analyzing a poem, the very first thing you're going to do is take notes on what you think the title means. All right, next is paraphrase. Before you begin thinking about meaning or trying to analyze the poem, don't overlook the literal meaning of the poem. So we're going to look at it literally before we look at it figuratively. One of the biggest problems that students often make in poetry analysis is jumping to conclusions before understanding what is taking place in the poem. So to keep from doing that, you're going to paraphrase. And when you paraphrase, you're going to write in your own words exactly what happens in the poem. So you're going to look at the number of sentences in the poem, and your paraphrase should have exactly the same number. Okay, you're going to look at the number of sentences in the poem, and your paraphrase should have the exact same number of sentences. Make sure that you understand the difference between paraphrase and summary. I don't want a 2-line summary of the poem when you're analyzing. You're going to do the sentence by sentence paraphrase. Okay, next we're going to look at connotation. Although this term usually refers solely to the emotional overtones of word choice, it's different in poetry. In poetry, it refers to any and all poetic devices, focusing on how such devices contribute to the meaning, the effect, or both of a poem. So you're probably thinking, well, what are poetic devices? Those are imagery, figures of speech like a simile, a metaphor, personification, symbolism, other things like that. Diction, the actual word choice, the point of view, who's speaking, and the sound devices. Is there alliteration, onomatopoeia? Is there rhythm? Is there rhyme? Those are all things you're going to consider and look for in the poem. It is not necessary, however, that you identify all the poetic devices within the poem. The ones you do identify should be seen as a way of supporting the conclusions you are going to draw about the poem. So don't try and just pick out random stuff, whatever's fastest. Make sure that you're choosing what will support your understanding of the poem. All right, next is our A, attitude. Having examined the poem's devices and clues closely, you're now ready to explore the multiple attitudes that may be present in the poem. Examination of diction, word choice, images, and details suggests the speaker's attitude and contributes to understanding. You may refer to the list of words on tone that is on the wall, and that will help you. Remember that usually the attitude cannot be named with a single word. Think complexity. All right, next. Shift. Shift means change. Rarely does a poem begin and end the poetic experience in the same place. As is true of most of us, the poet's understanding of an experience is a gradual realization, and the poem is a reflection of that understanding or insight. Watch for the following keys to shifts. Keywords like but, yet, however, although. Punctuation like dashes, periods, colons, ellipses. Stanza divisions. Changes in line or stanza length or both. Irony. Changes in sound that may indicate changes in meaning. Or changes in diction, the word choice. Those are all things that can show a shift in a poem. Okay, now we're going to go back and look at that title now that we've analyzed. What new insight does the title provide in understanding the poem now that you've read the poem? And then we're going to move it on to the theme. What is the poem saying about the human experience, motivation, or condition? What subject or subjects does the poem address? What do you learn about those subjects? What idea does the poet want you to take away with you concerning these subjects? Remember that the theme of any work of literature is stated in a complete sentence. So these are all questions that you will ask yourself as you are reading the poem to think about what the theme might be. Okay, if you have missed any of these notes, please go back and watch that section again. You should have notes for T, P, C, A, S, T, and T. All right. So as we go through this model, as I give you the word and a brief definition, I want you to write the word, and the bold part of the definition is the most important. You don't have to write it word for word, but write enough so that when you look back, you will understand what you are looking for.